There are so many people moving to the city of Houston. It is a massive city, very widespread, very easy to make a mistake when moving across the country. I'm Natasha Tessier. I was born and raised in the city of Houston. I help people like you every single day move to the great state of Texas. And in today's video, I'm going to go over some of the 6 common mistakes that buyers make when moving here and how I can help you navigate through those mistakes so that you are not making the same mistakes as you move to the great city of Houston. The first mistake that most people make is not understanding Houston's size. 4th largest city in the nation, just behind Chicago. I have often heard it's going to move to the 3rd largest. It is massive. There's a reason all these people are moving here. The economy is good. There's a lot of job opportunity. The people are amazing. All the schools, all the beliefs, everything. You can say you're going to meet a friend in Houston and it can take you an hour. So if you're used to a small town and you think, oh, I'm going to drive into Houston from Montgomery every day, you're going to be shocked when you get here and realize, wow, that's really far and there's a lot of traffic. So you have to realize the size of the city and what your needs are. Are your needs a hospital? Are your needs to be in the city of Houston, 3 days a week? Do you need to be by the airport because you need to be getting in and out of town quickly? What are your needs as a buyer? What is your maximum commute time you're willing to drive? Because that's going to dictate where you're going to go. You might be a young professional wanting to buy in the Heights and Montrose area. You might be work from home and you don't have to commute anywhere, and the schools are the most important thing. You're moving to get into our A-rated schools. It really just depends on what it is that you're looking for and what your needs are, and then we can help kind of guide you through that. That's going to lead me into number 2, which is going to be choosing the wrong school district. Now, our school districts can be very confusing. For example, you have Conroe ISD. That includes 13 high schools, but that's not just Conroe High School. That's also the Woodlands College Park, Grand Oaks. All these other high schools are in Conroe Independent School District. So you have to be careful when you're picking the school districts because the Woodlands High School, A-rated all the way. Conroe High School, not so much. So you have to be careful when you're looking through and figure out when you're looking at those reports what's most important. I just had a client go through this. They were buying in the Woodland Hills and they were worried because Willis High School just became D-rated, which to me is crazy because when you look at the numbers, their SAT scores are better than some of the A-rated schools. So you really have to look at those statistics and what is most important to you. For me, it's academics. Somebody else might be demographics. There's all sorts of factors that go into that. A lot of this is closing the gap. So find out what's important to you and look at those numbers when you're looking at the ratings to make sure that they line up with what you're looking for. And then again, they build these school districts out 50 years ago, and then a developer will come in 30 years later, buy land, develop a neighborhood. Half that neighborhood is zoned to one school district and half to the other. It happens all the time. And if they don't have open enrollment, you can't move schools if you're not zoned to that school. So it is very important that you don't make that mistake. Magnolia ISD and Montgomery ISD have 2 high schools. Tomball has 2 high schools right now. They're working on a 3rd. They're all 6A, so they're big schools. That's the biggest, most amount of kids you can have is 6A. Montgomery and Lake Creek are small 5A. They have small 5A, big 5A, small 6A, big 6A. Another area to be cautious of is Bridgeland. So north of Bridgeland, where they're doing all the new construction, is Waller ISD. It's not going to go to Bridgeland. It's a whole different school district. Right now, their schools are not rated. I think Waller High School is rated a D. But in 2 years, they're going to have a new high school. I think next year they're going to have a new junior high, and they have the brand new Cypress Christian campus. You have to figure out what district you want and then make sure that the school is zoned to it. Even the agents that list houses will say buyer to verify school district because they want to make sure that you're doing your own due diligence on where that is going to school. Another thing that people say about school districts, oh, I don't have any kids, it doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does matter because when you go to sell that, if you're zoned to a really bad school district with horrible ratings and kids that aren't scoring well, or maybe it's not safe, it's going to be harder to sell. So you want to hold your value. Now, it's not the end all be all. You don't have to be in the top A-rated school district in the entire city. So you don't want to overlook the school districts at all. Speaking Speaking of overlooking things is the flood zones. Let me just start this by saying Zillow is not correct on this. It is so strange, this new system where they say, oh, high risk flood zone. And to me, if I'm a seller and it says that, and my home's been around 40 years and it's never flooded, it's pretty hard pressed to say that that's going to have a good chance of flooding, especially Harvey that came 2017, 52 inches of rain. That was like our 1,000-year flood. I mean, it's hard pressed. If it didn't flood during Harvey, it's going to be pretty hard pressed to flood. And then you have this high flood rating. I know they're working on that, and they had a big vote with our MLS, Houston Association of Realtors, or HAR, to eliminate that because it can be very confusing to the consumer. At the same time, we have people, like I have clients who just texted this morning, oh my gosh, I love this home. Well, guess what? That whole neighborhood floods every time it rains. That house hasn't flooded, but your neighborhood does. And so the values go down every time there's a huge flood because people have to go in and they have to remodel and do insurance claims. And then the new construction, they're doing such an amazing job on all the drainage in the neighborhoods, building the houses above the streets. The streets will be the drain. Like I lived in Wood Trace during Harvey. Nothing, no water on the lawns, nothing. But, you know, some of these older homes that have been around and are in the 100-year or 500-year flood zone, if you're in the 100, you're going to be required to get expensive flood insurance. 500, you're not always required, but it's highly recommended. So flooding is not something you want to take lightly. You really want somebody who knows the area, who can check things for you and understands what is going on before you walk into a flooded house, and then we have a big rainstorm, because we will, and then your house is flooding and you're in a total disaster. Number 4 is going to be forgetting about property taxes. So Texas does not have a state income tax. We do have property taxes. They are not all high like everybody thinks. My tax rate is 1.5. My assistant's tax rate is 1.5. I've seen 1.3, very comparable to the national average. However, the new neighborhoods are going to be double that. They're going to be about 3% because they're paying off their MUDs. So the municipal utility district, or MUD, the developer comes in, buys the land, puts in the infrastructure, the plumbing, the electrical, all those things, and then you pay that off over time. Wood Forest and Wood Trace are really good examples. They were 3.3, then 3.0. Now I think the last one I sold in Wood Forest was 2.4. I've even seen it in the low 2s. It'll go down over time, but that was 15 years later. So if you're buying right now and thinking, oh, it's at 3.1 and it'll be 2.6 in a year, no. It takes time to pay off the infrastructure and for the rate to go down. However, with that tax rate, you're getting all the new amenities that you don't get with a lot of the older neighborhoods. So neighborhood pool, a lot of times there's a workout facility, walking paths, dog parks, splash pads, basketball courts, pickleball courts, lazy river pool, all those things that these older neighborhoods where I live, we don't have any of that. We have 2 lakes, you can fish them, no walking paths, nothing. So it's a trade-off, but you do want to keep the tax rate in mind. Only thing to me better than the 1.3 or 1.5 is the ag exemption, but you have to have at least 6 to 10 acres. Probably 10 is more safe in the area because 1 acre goes to your land, because then you're going to pay really low taxes. You're going to either do a wildlife exemption, the bee exemption, there's timber, there's all sorts of stuff, but you have to manage that and apply for it. And then there's a lot of upkeep with land. So please don't overestimate the property taxes. A lot of times people will have an outside lender and they'll say, oh, you know, my lender says the taxes are only going to be this, and they're wrong. So it is important that you have somebody who understands the taxes, helps you know what the estimate's going to look like. We also have exemptions. So if you are VA 100% disabled, you don't pay the taxes, which is amazing. You also can be 60%, not as good of a savings, but there is a little bit of savings. And then we have homestead exemption, which is $100,000 off, and they're pushing for more to pass in November. And over 65 is $110,000 off. So that is off a certain portion of your taxes, but it still will be a huge savings. So when you close with me, I'm gonna take you through the process at the closing table, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need to do to get your homestead exemption in place, verify it, and then make sure you get those savings. So if you are looking to work with me, I would love to work with you. There's a form below. Please fill it out. We have moved to a form instead of all the different ways that people were contacting us. It is the best way and quickest way. Myself or my assistant will reach out. We'll get on a Zoom. We'll figure out how we can help, and we'll move on from there. Next mistake is waiting too long to act. People are always looking for the very best deal. And I get it. I've bought and sold a lot of real estate. And obviously that is the play is to get the very best deal. In my opinion, right now, we are at a very low. So it is probably one of the best buyer's markets I've seen in a really long time. Here's why. Our inventory is at a 13-year high for the city of Houston. So in 13 years, we've never had this many houses on the market. If you understand supply and demand, you understand that that supply is too high, the demand is too low, the prices are dropping. Everybody's like, oh, well, what about in the fall? It's going to drop again. There's a lot of talk about rates going down. Maybe not in this July 30th meeting, but they're meeting again mid-September, and then I think again before the end of the year. If the rates get into the low fives, all that competition that's been sitting and waiting is going to come back out. We're still getting low rates with our builders anyway. So if you're getting the low rate and you're getting the low price, it's a no-brainer. But if the rates go into, say, 5.25 for all these buyers that have been sitting out saying, I'm not buying right now because the rates are too high, are going to come out and this whole coin is going to flip, I think probably January, February, March next year, and we're going to flip back to a seller's market, and it's not going to be as easy to get all these amazing deals. So if it's me and I've been waiting for the deal, I would be doing it now. This is end of July 2025 before December. That's when I'm buying to lock in the best rate, because again, I don't see this staying. These are the lowest prices I've seen these builders going in a long time. So if you're not sure, just come drive around. Come look at how people live, go to the grocery store, go out to dinner, check out the area, going to open houses, setting up tours, doing all that. Make sure Houston is right for you. So emotionally, you need to get to that decision, whether it's a job transfer or just a better life for you and your family. You need to get there before you're ready to obviously make it be the right time to make that offer. And then have a clear picture on what you want. You need a pre-approval letter before you're ready to purchase. They're not going to take a house under contract unless we have been to a lender and gotten our ducks in a row. So you need to have your realistic price range, your pre-approval letter, and then emotionally you need to be ready to pull that trigger. If you're there, now to me in the next few months is the time, not in a year from now. Let's move on to number 6, and that is falling for all those builder incentives that I referred to. Some builder incentives are amazing. Some 3-2-1 buy downs cannot be beat. Some closing costs cannot be beat. But let me tell you what happens. For example, this past weekend, I had a client and they were like, oh, we have this 4.99 rate for them. And I was like, oh, okay. And the builder's covering all of that. Oh, yes. I said, so the closing costs will be the same for them, whether they're doing the 4.99 or they're doing the regular rate. Oh, yes, absolutely, because we're paying for it. Now, we went on to ask for a fee sheet, and that's why I love my lender. I'm happy to share her with you. So just because it says 4.99, are you paying to buy down the rate or not? I'm not saying it's still not a good deal. I'm not saying they're not crediting you, but you have to get the builder's fee sheets for their lender and then also get a private lender's fee sheets, have them compare and see what the best deal is. If a builder will give me the same price with my lender or my client's lender that they've already been working with, I'm going to start the contract with an outside lender and try to get the builder to earn our business. Doesn't that make more sense than just saying, oh yeah, I'll sign up with your builder and pay their fees and be locked in? You should be able to have the right to choose your lender, even if you sign a contract. So don't be forced into having to use the builder's lender, especially right now. So for example, one house, they had us down to $394, but then they said, oh, that's only with our lender. And my client got upset because this is a whole other lender that they're loyal to. And so we backed away from the deal. And then the builder came back to us and said, oh, guess what? I got the deal, the same number using your outside lender. They don't want to lose the house. So you have to kind of learn to play the game with these builders and know how to push them to get the best deal. So something else to think about, the builders will say, our tax rate is 3.2, but 2.7 with homestead exemption. No. That's not how this works. Your rate does not change just because you have a homestead exemption. Does your price go down? Yes. And are they trying to estimate it and say that's how low it would go? Yes. But it's not fair to say that the rate actually will change because the rate doesn't change. It's just they're taking that $100,000 off for the homestead exemption and recalculating it and estimating what that rate would look like. But it's not really a rate change. So don't fall into that trap thinking that the rate is going to go down because you have homestead exemption. That's not how it works. The rate stays the same. The value goes down down because you filed for homestead exemption. So there's a lot of things to think about. Something else to think about with these builders is when you buy a house in Texas, you pay your taxes in the rear. So let's just say we bought it July 1st, 2025. The builder is going to credit you on the settlement statement the taxes for 2025 from January 1st to July 1st because they own the house during that time. And then we will be responsible for the taxes for the whole year when the bill comes. What ends up happening is the builder credits you based on the estimate. And at that time, a lot of times it's just on the land. So they might be giving you an $800 credit on your settlement statement. Well, if November comes around and the county says, hey, there's a $500,000 house on that property, and we're going to do it based on this value, because they have time to send that out and give you 30 days to fight it, that builder owes you money. And you have the right to go back to the builder and say, hey, you only credited me $800 because it was based on $30,000. You really owe me $2,500 because it's based on X amount. If you're buying new construction, please look at your settlement statements or let me look at it for you and protect yourself because it is important. I think I told you this last week how my client was like, she's super sweet with a little bit of pit bull. Might have a new nickname. It's Natasha the Negotiator, which cracks me up. But that's my favorite thing to do is push, 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 especially like with builders and things like that, and give my clients the very best deal. So push your builder, get with Natasha the Negotiator or somebody who's really good at pushing the numbers and showing you what it needs to be. Reach out anytime, days, nights, weekends. We are always here to help you, and I hope you have a blessed day.